it's Mark. I am the Sanderson Collector, and today I have another set of misprints to share with y'all. I absolutely love collecting misprints, and I did a video several months ago on my collection of misprints. You can check that video out right here. And since I did that video, some of y'all have sent me more and more and more misprints, and I have bought these or traded for these, or in some cases even been gifted these misprints. And so today, let's go ahead and dive in to looking at books like this copy of The Way of Kings that is cut so badly that the pages won't even open all the way. Let's start with The Well of Ascension, and this book is printed upside down. The book is right side up for the camera, and when it is right side up so that you can read the words and see the art inside, the outside is bound upside down in comparison. Both The Well of Ascension and this copy of Shadows of Self are books that I bought on eBay after seeing the listings. This one has a really cool echo effect where the red has been moved up just a little bit from where it should be. You can see on the right-hand side here a normal edition, and that provides a really cool effect where there really is a cool shadow for Shadows of Self. And I really like this one because it's such an obvious misprint to have on the shelf, and it is just a really cool book that I am happy to add to my misprint collection. Moving to the Stormlight Archive, I have two misprinted mass market paperbacks of The Way of Kings. In this first one, the pages look normal for a while, and then they are shifted so that the pages are too high and the tops of the words are cut off for a brief area. And the rest of the book is printed normally through to the end. It's just this one chunk in the front where the words are cut off with a couple of lines going off the top of the page. In my second copy, most of the book is printed completely normally, and then in the back, there is a set of pages where the pages went in at a slant, and so they didn't get cut completely. You can see here where the edge of the book was cut, the pages got cut as well, but for the area where pages weren't there because they were slanted, those pages did not get cut. And you can actually see that before the pages are cut, they are a piece of paper that goes from one side up and back down the other. And this is what I typically call a signature when binding a book. And it's really, really, really cool that you can see the signature here. This book came from a fellow collector who messaged me on, I believe, Facebook, who found this book for a friend and then noted, oh, it's misprinted, I can't give it to my friend, so I'm going to go ahead and send it to Mark. And then this one with the miscut page came from my friend Eddie, who sent it to me as a gift. Moving on to Words of Radiance, this is my personal copy of the Words of Radiance trade paperback. And I bought this one just to have the book on my shelf back when Words of Radiance as a trade paperback was released. And I later noticed that it has a repeated chunk of pages / missing chunk of pages here. At the beginning of the book, it has the normal first 670 pages, and then it jumps to page 735. And it goes like that up until page 765, 766, 703. And it has the rest of the pages normally from there, so it's missing the pages that would normally go in this chunk, and it has duplicates of some of these other pages. As you can see here, we have duplicate copies of this chapter 62 right here. And I think it's really cool that I discovered and got this one on my own without knowing it was a misprint, and it sat on my shelf for so many years before I went looking for a quote and couldn't find it because it was in this section that was missing, and figured out that this was a misprint, and I am very happy that I did go looking and figure that out. Moving on through the Stormlight Archive, I have two misprinted copies of Rhythm of War here. These were gifts from my friend Taylor, who does amazing cosplays, and they have over-inked or under-inked pages that are all blotched and blurred out like this. There are a handful in the back of both of the copies of this book, different pages, but obviously the printer was having a bad day. He got both of these from the same bookstore, and each time they said, "Oh no, your book is misprinted, we can't take it back, we're just going to give you a free replacement copy." So he got his replacement copy, finally one that was good and had these 2 extra books that he didn't have to pay for, and he said, "Oh, I'm going to send those to Mark as a gift," and thank you very much to Taylor for sending this pair of misprinted Rhythm of Wars along to me to add to my misprint collection because they are very, very cool. In addition to misprinted copies of the main Stormlight books, I have a misprinted copy of the Stormlight Archive Pocket Companion, and this one has the second half of the book twice. The front part of the book is just the second half of the book, and the second half of the book is also the second half of the book. The first part of the book is just not in here. I suspect there is someone out there who has 2 first halves of the book for this one, so if you have any idea where that copy is that's misprinted and has the first half of the Stormlight Archive Pocket Companion twice, please let me know. I would love to complete that set. This one popped up by another collector in the Discord, and they said, "Hey, I've got a copy of the Pocket Companion here. It's misprinted. Is anyone actually interested in the thing?" And I was like, yes, I very much am, and so I arranged to buy it. Sliding over to the Cytoverse, I have a miscut copy of Skyward. You can see the book itself isn't even square. The cutter must have just gotten completely misaligned when it was cutting this one. You can see the cut here is square, and the rest of the book here and here is not square, does not line up. There's rough edges up here on the top where it didn't get cut. In the final cut, there is a red line down here that was supposed to get cut off, but didn't because the book was so misaligned. And throughout the book, you can see the pages are misaligned. I love this copy because it's still completely readable. None of the words actually go all the way off the page. So it's a completely serviceable copy, but it's also a very obvious misprint. It doesn't even sit flat on the shelf. It sits tilted out at an angle because of how it was cut. And so this is my very cool misprinted copy of the Skyward paperback. This one was a Mercari listing that another collector found and said, "Mark, you need to get this." I was like, I don't know if I had the budget for it, and he went ahead and bought it for me, which is super awesome. So thank you to him for doing that. I don't know if he wants me to name him and his generosity, but thank you very much for buying this Skyward for me. The other misprinted Cytoverse book I have is Cytonic here in the signed edition, which is signed to a tip-in page. And this one is normal throughout the entire book, except for that signed tip-in page where Brandon's signature was cut off at the top. Brandon signs the tip-in page just as a piece of paper, ships it off to the publisher, and they glue it into the front of the book in order to make their book. And for this one, they sent him larger pages than what got put into the book, then cut the pages down and made the book. So this page was probably this tall, maybe the size of a hardcover book or something. Brandon signed here, and when they cut the page down, they cut off his signature. I think it's super cool to see a misprinted tip-in page. That's not something I have ever seen before, and I'm not sure if I will ever really see one again, because tip-in pages are a way to get a signed book that publishers usually take a bit of extra care with because they're extra special and they go through the extra effort to make it a signed copy. And so I think it's really cool that I do have a misprinted tip-in page. This Cytonic comes from a fellow collector in Florida, I believe, and she went to the bookstore, saw this copy, sent me a message, and I was like, yes, please, I do need that. Please send it to me. That would be awesome. And so that is how I got this misprinted copy of Cytonic. For a more recent book, this is the French edition of Tress of the Emerald Sea. I do not have my US edition yet, but I got the deluxe French edition. And most of the book, it just looks like a normal, well-printed, nice book, except for the front end papers, which are flipped upside down and misaligned so that you can see the edge of the page where they print their alignment text as well. And I think it's very cool that this text is on here. I got this one accidentally just by ordering the French copy of Tress, and I ended up with this misprinted copy on accident, and I am very happy that I'm actually able to collect one or two of these misprints on my own without needing to go and beg other collectors to trade them to me. However, the next couple books were given to me by their authors. They are not Brandon books, but they are cool enough misprints that I wanted to show them anyway. The first is this edition of Target by my friend Darcy Cole, and this one is missing the title page and pre-title page from the front of the book. It just starts straight off with the dedication. Darcy signed it here on the cover for me because it was missing the title page. In addition, here's a hardcover copy of Target that is, and you can see here's the front of the book, the spine under the dust jacket all lined up, and the book inside is completely upside down. I very much love my upside down books, and I very much appreciate that Darcy noticed that this one was upside down and said, hey, my friend Mark would like that, and sent it to me. And then last but not least of the Non-Sanderson books, I have Godfire by Kara Witter, which is a pen name for two authors. And this one has the first half of the book printed upside down. The pages are flipped a complete 180, which is something I have never seen before in another book. And it's really cool that they are upside down and all still in order like this. And then you get halfway through the book and suddenly it is all right side up again. You can actually see the flip right here where it switches from being upside down to being right side up. And I think this is very cool. One of the co-authors of this book is Jancy Patterson, and both Jancy and Darcy were at Dragonsteel 2022, and they got their books, they were signing, they found that there was a misprinted book, and they stopped signing and said, hold on a moment, I need to go talk to my friend Mark over at the Collectors Guild booth because he will love this misprinted book. And they came over individually and said, hey, this is cool, do you want it? Hey, this is cool, do you want it? And I was like, yes, please. Yes, please. And thank you so much to both of them for thinking of me when they found misprinted copies of their own books. I absolutely will treasure those in my collection. And then last but not least, we have possibly the coolest misprint that I have in my entire collection. I acquired this copy just last week from a fellow bookstagrammer who I met through a fellow collector who is in a book club with her. And this copy of The Way of Kings looks totally normal, nice and easy, read, 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 and bam. Right here on page 801, we get a different text, a different font, and the chapter title, The Mirror of Mists. This is a chapter of the book Lord of Chaos, which is one of the books in the Wheel of Time series. And after we get through some more pages here, reading Wheel of Time, Wheel of Time, Wheel of Time, bam, we are back to The Way of Kings on page 833. There's a double signature, the 32 pages from 801 through 832, that is just Wheel of Time, Lord of Chaos, that got shuffled to the wrong stack, still in the correct position with the page numbers matching up perfectly, and it got bound into The Way of Kings. I think that is crazy that the page numbers match up. It is crazy that it got the completely wrong book from a different series, but a series that I still collect, and this is the craziest and coolest misprint that I have in my collection, and I absolutely love having it. And so I really would like to say thank you to my friend for alerting me, and to the person who had this book for trading it to me. And I absolutely adore this copy. It is my personal favorite of my misprinted editions. Wow. I absolutely love all of these misprints, and I want to know, which misprint is your favorite? Which one do you think is the craziest or the coolest or just the best misprint that I have shown off today? Please let me know down in the comments. Also, if you have a misprint yourself, please show me a picture of it, because I love seeing misprints out in the wild. I will ask if you are willing to trade it to me, and if you are, I will be very happy to trade with you for most books. I obviously can't trade for something valuable like a misprinted Infinity Blade Awakening, but most books I will trade for, and I will be very happy to add more misprints to my collection and hopefully be able to do another one of these videos in the future. To make sure you don't miss that video as well as other videos on this channel, please go ahead and subscribe if you haven't done so already. And if you enjoyed this video, please leave me a like. I will be back in the middle of this week with a bonus episode about misprints, as well as at the end of the week with the news for March. So stay tuned for that. And until then, happy collecting.